I'm going to call this Reflections on my first bikepacking trip. So I'd say about 12 months ago I watched a few videos online, as we all do, on some bikepacking videos. I thought I quite like the look of that. I've been enjoying my cycling, so I decided to buy some equipment and have a go. It's taken me probably nearly 10 months to get my bits of equipment together, and 2 weeks ago I finally managed to get out on the bike and go experience my first bikepacking trip. Now, I suppose I'd start this with a little bit of a story, I suppose. I was checking the weather. Here in the UK it's currently mid-November. Well, when I went bikepacking it was mid-November, it's now December. We've had probably the wettest autumn on record for a fair number of years. So it's been cold, it's been wet, it's been pretty foul, and I decided to go out in the middle of November, in the middle of the wettest autumn. Anyway, I've been checking the weather and everything seemed to look good. It was due to be fairly dry over the weekend, overcast. I was expecting something similar to what I've got today. You know, nicely overcast, relatively blue, but still a fairly nice day for cycling, camping, and it was due to roll over into the Sunday. Anyway, went online, found a little campsite just outside Uttoxeter, which is about 30 miles from my house. I thought that'll do. It's about just over 2 hours, so a nice easy ride for my first bikepacking trip. If anything went wrong I could get back home nice and easily. Loaded the bike up and set off on the Saturday morning. The roads were full of water, obviously, wet November. Didn't think much of it, but it was going quite well. I've been on the road for about an hour and a quarter and it started to rain. And it rained heavily, and it rained for the next hour and 10 minutes all the way to the campsite. Luckily my waterproof managed to keep most of the water off my top half, but my legs, my shoes, my overshoes, everything were just sodden, laden with water. It's probably not the best when you're expecting to spend a night outside. Anyway, I got to the campsite. The campsite was in pretty much the same condition as the roads. It was waterlogged. I'll cut to a little bit of a clip I've got. They've been pitching my tent and you can actually hear the mud squelching underneath my cycling shoes. That's how wet it was. I got my tent up, got in my tent, got into my nice warm dry clothes and thought I'll unzip the fly and do some quick cooking and sort of warm myself up, have a nice evening meal and chill out for the evening. But that didn't go to plan. It started to rain. I had to zip the fly down, cooking the fly, which is never ideal. On a plus note on that though, I did cook an absolutely banging paella. That was superb. Put a load of extra chilli powder in it. Got plenty of good kick, and it was just what I wanted after being freezing cold for a couple of hours on the push bike. A big pot of nice hot paella with plenty of chilli, plenty of chorizo, plenty of chicken in it. Really hit the spot. Anyway, while I was lying there at night, contemplating life, the universe and everything, as you tend to do when you're out camping on your own, It suddenly hit me. I have never really documented any of my travels, my journeys, anything like that. I tend not to be a very photographic person. And we've got a guy on a mountain bike coming down. I tend not to be a very photographic person recording what I'm doing. So while sat there in my tent, oh, the sun's coming out, that's beautiful. Lovely that is. Whoa. Anyway, while I was sat there in my tent contemplating, I'm going to see if I can swing that round a bit, guys. Get a slightly better shot. While I was out in my tent contemplating life, the universe and everything, so while I was there contemplating about recording my bike packing, it suddenly hit me. I wanted to actually record what I was going to be doing over the next couple of years with my bike packing. I've got some places I want to go, some things I want to do. I've got a couple of rather interesting holidays actually booked up. And for the first time, I actually want to record it for myself and to share with anybody that's interested in it. Anyway, on with the bike packing. So I woke up the following morning. It had been raining most of the night. Luckily, I've got a decent sleeping bag from when I used to do a little bit of backpacking, hiking and camping, so I wasn't cold in the night. Well, I was actually quite toasty, considering it was hovering just above zero for most of the night. But it had rained all night, so everything was wet, soaking. I decided to pack up quick, get on the road and just get home. It wasn't going to be a pleasant ride. It was that horrible mist rain. I'm pretty sure we've all seen it before. So I woke up, started putting my stuff away, and that's when I noticed something. I'd made quite a good schoolboy error. In packing my tent, packing all my equipment away in the tent, put it all back in the same bags it was when I came out, and I noticed that my camera equipment, my little 361X, was actually in the same bag as my soaking wet tent. I'm sure you can imagine putting camera equipment in a soaking wet bag, in a bag with a soaking wet tent, isn't the best idea. So everything had to come out of my panniers. I repacked everything and decided to put my overnight clothes that were soaking wet in with my soaking wet tent. Oh. Morning. You all right? So I decided to pack my soaking wet clothes in with my soaking wet tent. Luckily, because I wasn't doing multiple nights, it didn't matter. But obviously it's raised a bit of a question. What am I going to do to get my tent out of the panniers? It's not something I've really thought about before. Morning. It wasn't something I'd really considered before, so I've had a bit of a dig around online, and I'm going to move my tent from my top bag, not my tent, sorry, I'm going to move my sleeping bag from my top bag into a roll top bar bag. That'll free up the top of my rack, which means I'll be able to pull my tent out of one of my panniers, strap it straight to the top of my rack, and because I've actually got my tent out of my panniers, I'll have loads of room. not to carry more stuff, but to spread my stuff out a bit more evenly. Ride home, as I said, it was horrible, misty rain. I stopped off halfway, a 15-mile stop off, my shortest one ever. At a cafe, had some coffee and a piece of cake. Try and warm up a bit and defrost after the rather terrible ride. I got home and it was cold. Well, it wasn't, I was cold. I was wet through. And quite frankly, it probably wasn't the best bikepacking experience ever, but it did get me out. I've done a shakedown on some equipment. It gives me an idea of how my stuff's gone, how it goes together. Most of it works. Things I need to look at and change. Obviously my packing arrangements and some of the equipment on the bike. I think that's about it. Thank you very much. Cheers.